YouTube, what it do is you got CJ back with another episode of the CJ Wilkins YouTube channel. We're doing an episode today, guys, a reaction actually to the TikTok trend, women who are dealing with guys who are red pill. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Lost their male partners to red pill content. Front and center, please.
Hey, yes, she is me and I am she. I've dated a red pill podcast guy, and when I tell you it damn near destroyed me, it is a disastrous thing in our community, and we really need to talk about it. Dating a guy in the beginning, it was nice. He was sweet, he was kind, he was generous, everything like that. But then he started to become aggressive, and that concerned me because he wasn't physically aggressive, but he was verbally aggressive.
So let me jump in right here, man. So when you break down the true definition of red pill, it's a slang term that means to become aware of the hidden truth, or it just shows you reality. So when people like have these, deep think videos about red pill and the dangers and the toxicity of red pill, I'm always I'm always amused about the lack of just people understanding at a basic level what red pill is. People view content that isn't red pill, right? There are like an extreme to male content video creation online where it just may be guys who may be going over the top a little bit, right? But red pill within itself isn't like this diabolical plan by guys online to get unsuspected men to hate women or whatever. And the lady in the video, I want to give her credit. Her name is Tiki Namara on TikTok, and I'll be sure to put her information below so she gets credit for the video. But she was saying like in the beginning, the guy, was nice and sweet and meek and everything like that. So like he, I guess, conducted himself in a way that she saw suitable in the beginning of their relationship. And she said that he became aggressive. Now, without being able to hear his side of the story, right? Aggressive can mean that he may have been a pushover at some point, and then at some point he began to speak up for himself, right? She made it a point to say he wasn't physical, and verbal abuse does happen, right? It is a real thing, but we do need context. So let's keep listening and see what she says next.
The tones that he used with me will actually scare me. And I told him, I laid it out like I've never been talked to aggressively by a man. I've never been in an abusive relationship. My daddy never even talked to me aggressively. So I'm not going to accept that. And he changed for a little bit, but then he started watching those podcasts, which he then told me that he was watching. I suggested that he stop watching a podcast, delete, curate his own social media, stop watching a podcast and get therapy, because what he would say things like, you got to be aggressive towards women. That's the only way that they going to respect you. And I'm like, no, like I respected you when I met you and you were kind as and sweet as pie. Aggressiveness is scary for a woman, especially a.
Let me put a pause here. So now we're starting to unwrap and uncover like some of the grievances, right? And she has every right to have the grievance that she chooses to have. But fellas, let me tell y'all something, man. Sweet and kind with women may be semi okay or cool in the beginning of a relationship, but let me tell you something, man. Women long term, they grow agitated and bored and annoyed of men who are kind and sweet. You know what I mean? Because the average woman has a lot of guys in their DMs who are kind and sweet, right? That's not necessarily like women's type, right? And you know, some of the character flaws are starting to come out a little bit here, like in this video, and we're not even halfway through. So sorry for me like cutting in, but giving someone an ultimatum of removing or deleting something that they appear to be gaining some like value from, right? It's a little alarming. That's a red flag. I'm not saying that's a means to cut someone off, but if you're like watching content or you have videos within your algorithm on your social media sites that you may gain some value from, right? This to me, this sounds like a blue pilled guy who was becoming aware, right? You always have the first stage of red pill awareness. Um, of the guys who become red pill aware, right? And this is when things are becoming to, you know, guys are like in their 20s and 30s and 40s even, and they're just now being exposed to red pill philosophies. And it's so eye-opening, man, the way that you internalize that, and I would say spew that out sometimes. It may not be the most apropos for a healthy relationship, especially with a lady who appears to be more so on the matriarchal, maybe feminist side. Can't really tell that yet, but let's keep watching. But just keep your eyes open, like when people say things like, you're watching something I disagree with. So as a result, I want you to quit watching it. Versus, if you're getting value from it and you're not abusive to me, right? Because aggressive to a narcissist is just you standing up for yourself. It's you speaking up versus dropping your head and going with the happy wife, happy life conundrum that's led to the West being in a toilet that has been in for the past 60 to 70 years. Let's continue.
Big man using a negative tone towards a woman, that's terrifying. You And he told me I gotta delete all these red pill podcasts. He's like, I didn't even know what it was. I thought it was just guys talking. I said, it's different types of podcasts. If they're not uplifting you, if they're telling you nothing but negativity, they're putting poison in your mind. If everything you see and hear is negativity, that's
Another pause here, man. You have to be very, very, very on watch, I would say. Anytime someone tells you that becoming aware or being put on game as to the reality of life and things in it, if people view that as a negative, right? Because to a narcissist, right, the truth is negative, right? And we all know the truth is neither positive or negative, it's simply the truth. Now, if someone views reality as a negative, you have to ask yourself, why do they consider the reality or the truth or the veil being lifted as a negative thing? You got to ask yourself, what purpose do they serve or what agenda do they hold that may be getting exposed by you having your eyes opened by this content? This sounds like a guy who was probably single mother raised, may not have had a strong male figure in his life growing up to help him be an independent individual thinker. Because anytime a man really leans on a woman for like, counsel about what he should or shouldn't be like watching or listening to as an adult, that's a sign that you're not with a strong man. Like you're not with a quote unquote type A guy, right? Um, there's always like, points and times where you can probably lean on a woman for like certain things, but when it comes to insight on like, hey, I'm watching this, I'm getting something from it, but because you don't like it, now it's a bad thing and I should get rid of it. It's probably a simp. So she wants him to go back to the simp that he was when they started off, right?
what you're going to see and feel. Negativity. You have to curate what you see in your life, especially being an older person. You need to know better. So I gave him two chances, and both chances he failed. And his thing also about dating an attractive woman. When we go out, I put myself on. I look good. I'm a beautiful. I'm very charismatic, and that was what he loved about me. But watching the Red Pill podcast, his thing, he would make these weird statements about, oh, I know these men trying to talk to you and blah 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 blah. I know you be going out on dates and blah 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 blah. I'm working 3 hours away from home. And then he would say things like, oh, I know you.
Now, I will say this. I will say this. It do sound like homeboy is like, tripping on that. If you with a woman, guys, and she's solid, she's 10 toes down, and she's for you, bro, she may be like attractive or whatever, right? If she's not putting herself out there in a way that may be disrespectful to like y'all's relationship or y'all's marriage or whatever y'all got going on, it's okay to let your lady rock out as long as she's not too over the top with it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm a conservative guy, so any woman I deal with has to, you know, like show herself out to the world in a way that's respectful to not only herself but to me as well, right? But you got to be careful sometimes with internalizing certain talking points of red pill too much, right? Because you don't want to speak things into existence that may not be there. So I will give her credit on that right there. Now, I don't know how she dressed. I don't see how she's looking when they go out, right? So I can't speak too much to that. But I mean, as long as she's not going out and she's showing her areolas, or she may have like, a super tiny short like dress on, you know what I mean, with the cheeks hanging out, you really don't have that much to worry about from her perspective. Now, from what she's saying, from that standpoint, you may be a little bit too over eager, I'll say. Let's continue.
You probably messing with a dude down there, a woman as attractive as you. I know, like these red pill podcasts would literally poison him and make him think that I'm a woman that I was not. Okay, ladies, if your men are watching a red pill podcast, break up with them. They need therapy. That's poison. They are experiencing traumatic events on a daily basis, and they don't even know. They're
Why are so many men taking relationship advice from men?
All right. Let's go ahead and bring that video, man, to a stop here, man. I want to give like some insight on this right here. The advice at the end was pretty much what I was trying to get to, and this is my first time like watching this video, man. But the advice of if you're dating a guy who watches red pill content to break up with him, I think is unproductive. But I mean, at the end of the day, you have to do what you have to do, right? If you're threatened by red pill content, or if you think the content that a man is seeing online on social media, on YouTube, uh, if you think that red pill message is too diabolical to your relationship, you know what I mean? You got to do what you got to do. But for the fellas, guys, look, man, there are components of any philosophy that may be deemed as, excuse me, like toxic or, over the top. But for the most part, man, red pill is just simply a philosophy that reveals the world to you as it is, not how you hope it was, not how you wish it was, right? It breaks down the true, disgusting, sometimes nasty, but overall real nature of life and things in it, right? So if female nature is broken down to you at the purest form and element, right? And law of averages, not all women, right? There's no absolutes like all women are like this. But law of averages matter, right? And it means something. And statistics come from somewhere, right? So you have to be aware of these things. And with that awareness, you do whatever you so choose, right? This isn't telling you how to live or how to go or what to do, but it's very important to be aware of the reality of things, right? Because what that does is that puts you in a position to where you're able to make choices logically and not emotionally, right? So the lady in the video, man, she represents a high percentage of women in the Black community, but not just Black community, uh, just overall, who have a problem with red pill content, right? And what's happening right now, man, is guys are having a great awakening, right? And men are starting to see they have been fed, um, they have been bamboozled over the last couple of decades, right? They've been quote unquote, in the words of the great Martin Luther King, led into a burning building, right? What red pill is doing is it's just pulling back the curtains. If any of you have seen like the Wizard of Oz, how they go through this long and extravagant journey to get to this Oz, right? To find this great old wizard, and they pull back the curtains only to realize it's just a regular dude, right? The reality versus the perception weren't the same, right? And what red pill does is it simply shows you what it really is. And women who have benefited from men being simp, blue pill, beta, meek, meager, NPC, right? They have benefited for years for guys being kind of lame like that, right? But because of red pill and guys becoming aware and waking up to things, it's kind of forcing them to either step up and become better or get replaced. And hey, that's what's happening, man. Divorce rates are up. you know, procreation rates in America are down. People are not having kids. The economy is really bad right now. So, I mean, it's a lot of different factors going on right now that are contributing to men making decisions to go in other places or directions than they used to blindly before the red pill explosion came out. So, man, let me know, man, like what y'all think about this video. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe below. It's your guy CJ, and I'm out. Peace.